Straight ahead on Folks, we'll be talking about legalized gambling in Louisiana with Joe Delpit, Speaker Pro Tem of the Louisiana House of Representatives. Sonya tells us about a jewelry maker who gives away about as much jewelry as he sells and still manages to break even. Our Pause for Pride segment this week features Kenneth Mack Jr. of Natchitoches. He has been somewhat of an ambassador for Louisiana and the nation. I'm Rob Hinton. Those stories and more today on Folks.
Everybody says folks, just plain old folks. Everybody just people all over the world. Folks to live, folks got to give, folks got to care, ooh, folks got to share. Our world is small, so very small. What touches one of all, ooh, touches us all. To stay alive, just to survive, folks got to be in harmony. Everybody just folks, just plain old folks, just plain old folks. Everybody just folks, everybody just folks, just plain old folks, just plain old folks. Everybody just folks.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Folks. Up front today, a look at Governor Edwards' revenue-raising plan, a plan that involves legalized casino gambling and a state lottery. Now, the governor had hoped to hold earlier this month a special session of the state legislature to tackle his revenue-raising plan, but many lawmakers balked at the governor's proposals. Not so with State Representative Joe Delpit, Speaker Pro Tem of the Louisiana House. He supports the governor. Recently, Delpit and I talked about what legalized gambling would mean to Louisiana. Joe, you were with the governor in New Orleans when he announced his revenue-sharing plan. Can you tell us why you are so for it?
Well, I'm in favor of any plan that will allow for the state to get itself out of the financial crises that we're now facing. It happens that his plan not only will eliminate the problems that we have with the finances in the state, but it also will give us an opportunity to do something that is vitally important to the state and its people, and that's create some jobs. There has not been any other proposal presented, even with the budget-cutting proposals, that will create jobs. And I think that that is the gist of my interest and support for that particular proposal.
Now, Governor Edwards is supposedly a very popular governor. Why then do you think he is having such a hard time selling his plan to legislators?
Well, basically, it's the kind of proposal that he's submitting. I mean, let's face it, while we all know that gambling is rampant in Louisiana, it's not one that those persons in the legislature will come forth and want to admit. It's kind of, well, as long as it's being done, nobody knows about it, let's just don't say anything about it. But I don't think that Governor Edwards' proposal, as I look at it, is one that is encouraging gambling. I think it is clear a proposition of bringing the business of gambling to Louisiana. And when you talk about business, you're talking about jobs, and you're talking about revenues, and you're talking about money. And that's what I see as his proposal. Legislators are practical, realistic people. I mean, they have a constituency, and while the percentages of odds as it relates to polls that have been taken would be in favor of the governor's proposals with their constituency, there are hardcore numbers that are opposed to these propositions, primarily from the church groups, and some of the business lobby groups have come out in opposition to it now. And they, the religious group, are sincere. I mean, they think it's going to destroy the morals of our state. I happen not to believe that because I've gone to casinos in Atlantic City and in Las Vegas, and the people there are just as good as the people here in Louisiana are, in many instances even some better. I must say many of them are from Louisiana, and most of the people who go to these places are not residents of the areas of which the casinos are operating.
Are you surprised about the public outcry against the governor's plan, particularly from legislators?
Well, I am surprised at lobby, particularly Mr. Stammel, for coming out opposing the governor's plan, and the only alternative he's using is to tax all of the people in the state by eliminating the homestead exemptions. While I don't think the homestead exemptions are at a level now that we can continue to afford at $75,000, I think that maybe there is room to reduce them some. He wants to eliminate them, as I understand his proposal, altogether, which means every citizen of this state will pay a burden of the shortfall of the monies that we're having now in the state because of the oil prices on the international market. Every time we lose a dollar with the cost of oil going down on the international market, it's nearly $35 million out of our state general fund. That's just the direct impact, and then the indirect impact, meaning the jobs and other things that will come about. So that, in my opinion, is an insult to the people of this state, because what he's saying is, hey, we don't want to do anything as big businesses. We recognize the oil and gas industry cannot continue to carry the burden, but other businesses that he represents, we don't want them to do anything, even though they get all the exemptions, the tenure exemptions, and say that they're going to create jobs in our state for people. The fact of the matter is, jobs have not come with the exemptions that this state have given them. I think that's an area we need to look at also.
Well, let's look at some of the other alternative plans being suggested, such as selective cuts in state spending.
Well, certainly I'm in favor of some selective cuts in state spending. I would have to know what those selective cuts are. In a general sense, people have talked about them in a general sense without being specific. The specifics that I've heard, I would not be in favor of closing charity hospital systems. I think it's asinine for any legislators to suggest that we should close charity hospitals in Louisiana and the private sector is going to pick up the load because of the Medicare and Medicaid programs that exist from the federal level. The fact of the matter is, if you look in the last session and the session before last of the legislature, the Black Caucus presented legislation that would mandate that private hospitals would take in poor people who had the Medicaid and Medicaid cards, Medicare and Medicaid cards, and if they did not take them in, that they would lose their licensing certificates in Louisiana to operate as a private hospital. Each time the private hospitals lobbied us to the hilt to kill that legislation in the House, and it was killed on 2 occasions. So these people don't want to bring in low-income and poor people into the hospital systems of which they're operating. Many instances, they feel that they can't afford it. But let's assume that some of them will take selectively some of them. That's still not enough to take care of the needs of the poor people, and particularly elderly people who will be needing hospital care. So therefore, they would have to have some additional private insurance to supplement that Medicaid and Medicare coverage that they may be eligible for. And these people are not able to buy that insurance. So, you know, I guess that's one way to cut the state budget down. You can do 2 things: let the old people die and not care for them, which some of them evidently are proposing, and that way that'll be less responsibility the state would have to them, and they wouldn't be a burden anymore on the state. But I guess I'm a little bit more humanistic and realistic and sensitive to the needs of people than they adopt the philosophies of which they are trying to present and project.
What about eliminating tax exemptions on utility bills and sales tax on food and drugs?
Who pays for it? I mean, the people pay for it. If you take the taxes exemptions off of utilities, do you think the utility company is going to pay it out of their pockets? They're going to add it to every consumer's bill. Let's not fool ourselves. The same thing with food and drugs. Right now, those prescribed drugs are exempt, not the drugs you just buy off the counter. So that means people who are now going to get prescribed drugs will have to start paying taxes on it. Who can least afford to get the prescribed drugs now? We've already cut back in the drugs program for the elderly and for low-income people. Same thing with with food. With unemployment like it is in Louisiana now, it's unthinkable that somebody would come up with these kind of solutions to further aggravate the problem and taxing a depressed employment picture that already exists in Louisiana.
The governor is now on sort of a campaign stump around the state trying to gather support for his gambling plan. Will this help? If so, tell us how.
Oh, I think he's bringing a message home to the people, and I would hope that they look at it in the way that he's presenting it as the alternatives of what is really going to happen in this state if we don't find additional revenues. And I hope that it helps. I can't say that it will or won't, but I know that I'm trying to do my best to let the people that I have been in contact with, my immediate constituents and other people throughout the state, let them know that of the severity of the problem. And hopefully, if that does not work what he has, somebody can come with an additional alternative plan.
Joe Delpit, Speaker Pro Tem of the Louisiana House. Okay, time now for a question from the Folks Almanac. This library archive houses the largest amount of material in the country that documents the Black American experience. Can you name it? Well, as always, we'll have the answer for you later in the program. Today, our Pause for Pride report brings us to Natchitoches, Louisiana. The town itself is a historic one. It is the oldest settlement of the Louisiana Purchase, and there's a lot of history surrounding this beautiful body of water, the Cane River, which flows through it. Natchitoches is also the home of primitive painter Clementine Hunter. But the focus of our report today is on another Natchitoches resident, 13-year-old Kenneth Mack. Kenneth Mack Jr., to be more precise, and he is a singer. Well, actually, he is more than just a singer. Young Kenneth Mack is a performer. His singing career began when he was just 3 years old. Kenneth, tell us what singing means to you.
Well, when I sing, a lot of times it expresses the way I feel a lot of times, and to me, well, I know it's a God-given talent, and I love it, and I just thank God for it.
Do you ever get tired of it?
No, sir.
Our first encounter with Kenneth's vocal talents was last spring at Louisiana's very special arts festival in Baton Rouge. Kenneth is the youngest of 3 children, and his parents speak of him with a great deal of pride. Tell me what goes through your mind whenever you hear Kenneth sing.
I get chills, every time I sing, and I get very emotional. I just can't believe that this is my son, exemplifying all what I wanted to do all my life, and I can really just see myself. That's what I see, and that's what it gets so touching, that I just see him doing what I've always wanted to do.
Something inside my heart just seemed to swell up real big. Even though he's my son, I feel like if he was anybody else's child, I would feel the same, emotional sensation, because I know he really feels what he sings. So I just feel real good. I feel warmth and peace when he sings.
The past several months have been busy ones for Kenneth. In November, he went to Rome to sing for Pope John Paul II.
I was honored, yes, sir, and the Pope, him and I spoke to each other, and the Cardinal, and it was real great, and he blessed me.
What did you say to the Pope?
I told him I was real honored to sing for him, and that he had a nice place.
It was an exciting experience for the both of us, and I feel like he was really doing something that God had chose him to do, and he was not honoring, the country, representing the country, the United States, but also many others that, really look up to the Pope and speak highly of him. I felt a real honor, and I felt like we were really being blessed by being there, our presence being there, and it was just an honor. It was a great honor to be there and to hear my son sing for the Pope.
And in December, the Mack family visited the White House, where Kenneth sang for President and Mrs. Reagan. What was it like singing for President and Mrs. Reagan?
It was fun. It was really fun. I was honored and to be on the program with Natalie Cole and Amy Grant, to get to really meet them, how they really are, and it was great. It was real great.
Did the President or Mrs. Reagan say anything to you?
Yes, sir. I had a my family and I had a personal artist with the president and his wife, and we took a lot of pictures, and they gave me a birthday present.
The Washington trip, I was there on the set to see it to happen, to see it all get formed up, and now that's when the sensation started. I really started seeing the future that could come in to play, and I was excited. I was like a rooster, head up, chest out, very proud, very proud.
The publicity resulting from Kenneth's trips has been overwhelmingly great. He has made several appearances on network television and has captured the attention of many newspapers. What kind of effect do you think all the publicity over the past several months is going to have on your son?
It's going to have a profound effect, not only for our family, our church family, our community. Everybody's backing him. I mean, it's uncanny how people are so supportive of him rather than being envious or whatever. People are behind him. And I feel that he's going to affect a lot of people, not only this community, but the nation, maybe the world, hopefully, because it's that kind of energy is behind it.
Let me direct this question to the both of you. What are your hopes and dreams for your son?
Hopes, dreams, that's great. The sky's the limit. We're hoping that he'll become an aid to help society get a realization about God, about family, about country. If he can be that utensil, I think that he served a lot of good.
Ever since I had him, he's always been a special child to me, and others have referred to him as being special even before he was enrolled, in the program and his talent, began to surface. I always knew that somehow he was going to be used. He was going to do something real great. And I just really appreciate what he's doing now. His singing, it has touched so many people, and it touches me, when he sings. So I feel like from here on out, that the Lord will continue to use him to minister to other people. And so they can feel what he feels when he sings, because when he sings, he wants others to be touched and feel the same way he's feeling at that time. So my dream for him is that, he continue on, and that he'll, really be blessed in doing what he's doing.
I'm falling head over heels in love with Jesus. I'm falling head over heels in love with him. For he has turned my life around. Once I was lost, but now I'm found. I'm falling head over heels in love with him. I'm falling head over heels in love with Jesus. I'm falling head over heels in love with him. For he has turned my life around. Once I was lost, but now I'm found. I'm falling head over heels in love with him. I thought I knew what love was all about, but I had known the love of friends and family. But when I met the one to save me, I found out that this love was love I thought could never be. I'm falling head over heels in love with Jesus. I'm falling head over heels in love with him. For he has turned my life around. Once I was lost, but now I'm found. I'm falling head over heels in love with him. For he has turned my life around. Once I was lost, but now I'm found. I'm falling head over heels in love with him.
With his trips to Rome and Washington, Kenneth can be described as one of Louisiana's goodwill ambassadors. He has an incredible voice for a 13-year-old, and we wish him the best for his singing and all of his future endeavors. Okay, here's Sonya Massingale with a report on a very unique jewelry maker.
At his booth in the historic French Market, Ronald Lane does more than just make pretty jewelry. His jewelry sometimes makes its owner's dreams come true.
Any manner of things for sale can be found in the French Market, from the freshest fruit and vegetables to antiques and jewelry. But there is one vendor who is as likely to give things away as he is to sell them. Jeweler philosopher is what he calls himself, and Lane is quite willing to give his work as an act of love. The beauty of his philosophy is felt in the ingeniousness of his work in gold, silver, copper, and brass wire.
I went to an arts and crafts show in my hometown. I'd never seen anyone work with their hands. I'd never seen anyone make jewelry. And I went to an arts and crafts show, and I told the man that I make jewelry. Him and his sister was making jewelry. I told him that I make jewelry. And he said, let me see what you make. And I went home and got some jewelry, and he said, "You are a genius." You know. So he said, "Why don't you travel and put down that crutch? Your job is a crutch. You know, you're an artist, and you should get into your work." And he said, "Why don't you think about it?" So I took about 3 to 5 minutes, and I thought about it, and I said, "I will go." He wanted me to go to just on the road with him, and I went on the road. And I've been traveling ever since, and I learned a lot. I love people, see, and I learned a lot from traveling.
Where's your craft taken you so far?
I took my gift to the Lighthouse of the Blind in New Orleans here, and well, I just wanted to see if they could make jewelry, and they can. They even cut the cabochons, not these, but these are called cabochons, and they cut them and polish them. And if they can do that, they can make brooms. Why can't they make jewelry? And they make beautiful jewelry.
Originally from Lorain, Ohio, Lane has traveled the country and made a living from his jewelry. But his family didn't think it was such a good idea.
They didn't think I could make it, and they still don't think I can make it, you see? But I think it's they are trying to make me prove that, they would say that, "Ronald, why don't you get a job in case you have something to fall back on?" But I have to make it work. So I've seen a lot of successful people on TV and talked to a lot of people, and they said they stuck to what they were doing, you know. I don't want a crutch, another crutch. You see, I have to be good at this. I have to be the best. I have to prove it to my God, myself, and my people, and that I can make it, because I am an example. I'm being used as an example of what people can do.
What do you like most about what you do?
The people. You'd be surprised the energy that you get from people. You know, the love that we exchange, the knowledge that's been exchanged. You know, I enjoy giving to people. I enjoy, because when I give to you, okay, not to say that you don't give, but when I give to you, you would feel like giving to someone else. The person that you gave to, it would pass on like that. And it's beautiful. I've been giving all my life. And I can't stop, don't want to stop. There's nothing that can stop me.
You've been billed by some newspapers as a jeweler philosopher. How does that work?
I talk about loving and giving to each other, okay? I talk about, I tell people to give. I ask people to give because there's so much has been given to us. I put the beautiful food that I enjoy so much, the beautiful water. Each day I've had such a wonderful life, and I put it all into my jewelry. And that's what makes it so beautiful and powerful.
What do you mean by power?
It works to have people to think more through giving my jewelry or selling my jewelry, okay? A lot of people said, "Well, I don't have a job." So I said, "Well, let me make a ring for you as a gift." You know, they get a job. They come back to me and tell me, I got this job. I don't know what it is about this ring. It's something that it's what I wish upon people. I wish the very best. There was a lady came through in a wheelchair and her husband, and I said, "Wait a minute, let me make a ring for you." I see a lot of people, I see unhappiness on a lot of people's face. And if I can contribute anything to your life, I'm going to do it. If it costs me, I don't care, okay? So the lady came through, and I said, "I'd like to make a ring for you. This is called Prosperity." I gave her the ring. It made her very happier, okay? And I didn't see this lady and her husband for another month. And when she came back through this market, she told me that she had been to see the Pope in Rome. They come into a lot of money, and she thanked me.
Lane creates his lucky jewelry while you wait, and is usually surrounded by a crowd of people who are amazed at his artistry. But how can he afford to give things away?
Well, my nature is I'm a giver. That is my nature. And what I give is not mine anyway, okay? It belongs to the Creator, the Most High, okay? And we all have a mission. We all have a reason for being. And that's one of my reasons for being, for the gift. The Creator gave me the gift, and I am to give to my brothers and sisters of this planet.
What's in the future for Ronald Lane?
I like to teach people. I really would love to teach people this craft because it's a powerful gift, very powerful. I learned so much from just dealing with this wire. You'd be surprised the energy that's in this wire and the stones. There is energy here. There's knowledge.
Thanks, Sonya, for that report. Okay, time now to answer today's question from the Folks Almanac. This library archive houses the largest amount of material in the country that documents the Black American experience. Can you name it? Well, the answer is the Amistad Research Center located in the Old U.S. Mint in New Orleans. Well, that's our program for this week. Thanks for watching. Next week, a report on civil rights activist and author James Baldwin. Be sure to check it out. Until then, make it a good week. Bye-bye.